Hi Countryside, it's Joe Smith, your General Manager, and we are back again with another resident interview to talk about the master plan, Countryside 2.0.
Right.
I'm here today with Marshall Derry in Country Manor.
Right.
Relatively new to the community.
Yes.
Mr. Derry, you told me you joined, you bought in 2018, right as we were renovating the golf course.
Yes.
So you went through that renovation.
Right.
Maybe we could talk a little bit about that
Right.
a little bit later, but why don't you tell me a little bit about how you learned the countryside and what attracted you here initially, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Originally, when my wife first retired, we came on a trip to southern Florida, mostly along the Gulf Coast. We ended up in Key West, and we really enjoyed the weather. We have a little sign over on our TV stand that says, "You don't have to shovel sunshine."
That's right.
So that's always sort of see that every day, and it makes me feel good about why we're here. But I think we came down, looked around, and said, "Just this might be a good place to come." But then we have a group of friends that used to go to Hilton Head. Used to go to Hilton Head with used to be the Courtside 8. We used to rent condos at Hilton Head and play a lot of golf. We had a membership at a company there, and that owned 7 or 8 golf courses, and we were able to play every day for a nice fee. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of good restaurants there, and the only problem is January gets a little chilly.
Sure.
In Hilton Head. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was not so good. So I happened to run into a former colleague at a retirement party, and she asked me, what I've been doing after retirement, and I said, well, we go to Hilton Head, and we play golf and with a bunch of friends, and we do that from January, February, March. And I says, oh, we go south too in the winter. I said, but we only go during vacations from school, and we have a place in Naples. And I says, really? I says, we really liked Naples when we visited there earlier. And she said, well, it is available. So we talked to my wife, and we said, hey, January's kind of iffy in Hilton Head. Why don't we try Naples and see what happens? So we rented the month of January only, came down in January, loved it. The first time we walked in, everybody was friendly. Everybody was courteous. The help, the staff, the members of the golf crew, the administration, they were all very helpful in getting us settled. The neighbors were awesome. So the amenities were very nice, much better than what we had when we went to Hilton Head. So we rented for that. Then we went to Hilton Head for February, March that year. The next year we rented again in January, did the same thing. And it was packing, unpacking. We didn't like that part so much.
Yeah, no one does.
Right. So we, third year we were down, we rented a new place because the folks that we had rented from had retired. So they were here, so we couldn't use their place. So they gave us a friend's name, and we rented his place, and then got tied into his realtor, who showed us, and we said, well, let's go look. So we decided to go look one day, and she showed us 10 condos here in Countryside. We didn't go anywhere else because we were very comfortable being here, and it was a nice environment for us. Some of the other places that we've been have proven to us that we've made the right choice. Some places are not as comfortable. Some places are much more snobby than here than Countryside. So those 10 condos that we looked at, all inside the grounds of Countryside. We looked at the first one, beautiful view of the 6th green. Looked at others, and we made a little checklist, and one was still better. The first place we looked was still better than the next one, and we worked our way down. We got to the end, and we ended up, number one was the first place we visited was the place we ended up in. So we made an offer, and it was rejected the first time. So they counter-offered, and we came back. We looked at each other. Sounds fine. So let's do it.
And you've been here ever since?
Well, we closed before we left in January.
Wow.
We actually went to Hilton Head to meet our friends because we already had rented for February, March. We were there for 2 weeks. The weather was horrible. The forecast was even worse. So we decided, heck with it. Let's go back to a place we just bought. We stayed here for the rest of February and March. Went home in the middle of April.
Excellent.
So it was a good trip. It was
Yeah.
fine, and we love it, and we've been here ever since. And
You know, I'm interested. Is when you were a renter, you were aware of what was coming up in terms of the golf course and that
absolutely.
project. You know,
Yeah.
and then you decided to buy right as we were going into that
Right.
project. What was your kind of perception of the community investing capital dollars into the project like that?
We saw it as a positive.
Yeah.
Anytime you invest in
Yeah.
in what you've bought to make it better,
Yeah.
it's going to make everybody's place better. The golf course, they've done a wonderful job with the golf course.
Yeah.
It's
And you
just,
said you and Mrs. Derry are big golfers.
we that's our main attraction here.
Yeah.
We play a lot of golf. We're not saying we're good.
Yeah,
Just
well,
saying we play.
You can watch me play. You'll feel real good about your game.
Well, sitting out on the lanai every day and watching people on the 6th hole, we kind of get excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing okay. So that's essentially what our main, the amenity that we use the most.
Yeah.
We are in the bocce league. We play bocce.
Right.
We do socialize. My wife's, again, is the social butterfly of the
Sure.
family, not me. And we've met so many good people, though.
Yeah.
And everybody is inviting. We do a lot of things with dinners and game nights and whatever. And we like the concerts. We love to come up to the clubhouse, have a drink. After golf, have a drink. Some food sometimes both.
Yeah.
But it's always, we always feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
And we've been to other places and not so comfortable.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned just feeling comfortable and how welcoming the community is. That's come up in every interview I've done, is just how wonderful the people are, residents as well as our employees. And I mean, I can say the same thing. This is my 6th or 7th community I've been in, and this is certainly one of the most welcoming. And it's so social.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about the master plan project and understand kind of your feelings on that. And I think that's a good segue when we talk about socializing and things like the concerts and some of the outdoor stuff we've been doing the last few years. A lot of what's proposed is going to tie into all that stuff. So what are your initial thoughts on the project and kind of what's been proposed?
I think everything that's being proposed fits into the culture of countryside. I think the social aspect is certainly going to be enhanced by the availability of several different places to gather with people. The new bar area is exciting because right now when you sit at a long bar, you can only talk to the people on either side of you, whereas sometimes you can gather in the corner of a rounder bar.
Sure.
One of our favorite things to do at home is to go out and sit at the bar, have a drink, have dinner, and socialize with folks that are there. And I think the outdoor dining thing is much needed, and certainly I think are going to be a welcome venue for a lot of people. And the casual aspect around the pool area, I think, is also going to be something that people are going to really appreciate, because right now you feel like you have to dress up, make sure you're wearing the appropriate clothing, whereas you can be a little bit more relaxed around the pool area.
Sure.
And I think one of the things about the pool area, most of all, I think, is people are going to be able to get a lunch if they're out to the pool. If they have the grandkids down or whatever, they can take the kids to the pool, get them a lunch, have some fun, spend the day, because it's going to be available. And I think that's certainly missing now. I don't see that happening at the pool that currently exists.
Yeah, I mean, there's some activity around the pool, but not to the extent, like that.
Right. And I think it'll be a drawing card. I think the pool will be a drawing card.
Yeah.
I know we have pools in all the local communities, but many times those are so packed. Ours, especially where we are, is very, very well used, and a lot of times it's crowded.
Yeah.
Where this is going to give us another place to go.
Sure.
And not that I'm a pool guy, believe me, I'm not. But I think it's going to make, the environment that it creates. I mean, if you look at what people like to do in Naples, you go to Fifth Avenue. What's the draw? The outdoor dining, the hustle and bustle of this, people passing by on the street. You also look at the waterfront dining. The people always looking for waterfront dining. That pool gives you somewhat of a feeling of waterfront dining. So I think that's certainly going to be a positive for a lot of people.
Yeah. You mentioned to me you've got some friends at a community up in Fort Myers that has a similar dynamic that you've experienced. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we've been there several times. This is my brother-in-law's place.
Okay.
They have a condo at a place called Fiddlesticks in Fort Myers. So certainly much more upscale as far as the cost of amenities and such. But the nicest thing about their place is they got a dining room that extends to the outdoors, and they have an outdoor patio. They also have a pool area. They've got a resort-style pool, not as big as, bigger than the pool that we're proposing, but they also have around that pool a bar area, a food area. It's like a cabana type of setup.
Sure.
And it is probably the busiest place in the whole community as far as the country club itself goes. And it's open all hours of the night. If you go there after, you want to go by just to have just some social time with some folks, just to chit chat and grab a bite later on in the evening. If there's somebody there, the staff is going to stay and wait on you. And I think that's an expectation that everybody here is going to hope is going to happen. Because we're going to build all these nice things, but are we going to be available the times that people really want to use them? Extended bar hours or extended hours around the pool area, grab a bite late at night, because sometimes you go out on the town, you come back, you want to continue, or you want to, you might be hungry at that point. So that I think is one of the expectations that I think a lot of people, what I hear from people, is something that's, if we build all this stuff, it better happen. And I think that's an important piece. If we can, if the committee can look at that and say, we really need to work that into the plans, and I'm sure that's been talked about several times.
Absolutely.
I think it's an important piece.
Absolutely, it's important to us too. And I've shared that at a lot of our proof of concept meetings because that question has come up. And the intention would be to offer a more robust operating schedule, all times of the year. If the project were to pass, going into the first season, we would look to survey the membership and ask you all what you'd like to see in terms of operating hours, when you would anticipate you use the facilities, at what days, what times, so we could properly program it. We're here for you, and we want to be here when there's activity. So. And I think you're right, having, a venue that's a little bit more casual, where you could come down later in the evening in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. You don't need to get, a collared shirt and feel like you have to really, dress up, is likely to just bring some people in to socialize, more so than what occurs now.
I think it would. And I think, I'd look forward to that because I'm a casual guy. I'm not one
I think a lot of people are. You've worked your whole career. You're retired. I mean, everyone was in their shirt and ties for how many years?
Too many.
Now you don't want to be anymore,
Too
right?
many years.
Yeah.
I've had a tie on for 40 years. That's enough.
You're done. I get it. I get it.
And that's why we're here. Right? That's why we're here to relax and enjoy the time that we have left.
Gotcha.
The way things are today. You live for today because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
How often do you come out to the club now for dinner or lunch or dinner?
We usually play couples golf on Saturdays. We always pretty much meet with the other, play with a couple, and we usually gather with them afterwards. We'll come up 2 or 3 times a week at least.
So you're pretty regular users of the club.
I think this would make it more. I think it just gives you more places to. Sometimes you come up, especially if there's a lot of people playing golf, the bar gets very crowded. And we would, the fact that you're going to have more places to go is going to make a difference, I think. Because I think it's important. I think it's, you want people up here.
Yeah, we do.
You want to keep yourself solvent. That's certainly a way to do that, especially in food and beverage. I grew up in that business, so I know what it's important, how important that is to get the people in the door. So that's, I think everything you've done, or everything that's being proposed, certainly going to help that.
I wanted to ask you, a project of this magnitude is a big undertaking, and naturally not everybody is in complete support of it. So what are some of the concerns you hear out in the community, or, maybe rumors or, those who don't fully support it? What are they worried about? Is there anything specific you're hearing?
Well, I think, outside the cost, I mean, that's something that everybody is going to absorb.
Sure.
But I just think that I think the transition may be a little bit of a problem for some people.
Yeah, the
what's going to
construction
happen?
time. Yeah,
the construction
sure.
time. But I know the committee has addressed that.
Mm-hmm.
I think people may be looking for a more concrete answer as to what's going to actually look
Yeah.
like. And that's tough for you to do without going forward.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So I think that's something that they're going to look at. I mean, I've been involved in some major building projects. I worked in a school district that built 2 new high schools.
Yeah,
and I had
wow.
a major portion of that in the department I was in charge of. And it was a major project. Not everybody was happy in town, but when it was done, everybody was ecstatic of
Yeah.
the result. And I think you're going to find that to be the same thing here when this project gets finished. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we're both very excited about this happening because I think you're going to find people gravitating
Sure.
to this spot a little bit more than they do now.
I think so too, and I think we'll be able to accommodate more people because there's routine nights where we have to turn members away, and the last few seasons we really have been so strict on having reservations.
That's crazy, yeah.
Some of these, like the pool venue is going to be come as you are,
Right.
so you'd be able to come down there and rather last minute if you want, which will be good. And I have heard some of the concern about the transition and what can we expect during the construction. And like you said, we've done some early planning, but again, you don't want to put too much time into that unless the project has passed.
Right.
But what I can tell you today is we will have food service of some sort. It'll be highly modified. But we will have food and beverage service during the construction. And of course, the golf course will operate. We'll have our beverage cart. You'll still be able to play tennis and use the wellness center, all those amenities. And we're actually looking at using the multi-purpose room at the wellness center for some dining.
Okay.
And then, getting creative with some outside dining events. We have the ability to do some have some mobile kitchen equipment and do some food truck type things. And then even as simple as delivery, takeout delivery.
Yeah.
We can do that as well. So, that's important to us because, when we do these projects, we are really focused on retaining our core staff, keeping them, our employees working through the project. So, we're trying to address that ahead of time here. So,
Okay. I know that is one other question that people have is, we're having trouble with staffing now. What's going to happen when you need more?
Sure.
And I think
Sure.
that's something that, again, things hopefully will change with COVID.
Yeah.
Sort of
I hope
backing
so.
off. Hopefully it's going down the tubes.
Hope so. We've been pretty successful recently in recruiting and getting some good employees. And, our biggest asset is the people we have and the amount of tenure we have.
Yeah.
So a lot of the employees we've brought on recently are referrals from existing employees, and we incentivize to do that. So, I see us, really staying creative with programs like that to bring good people into the club. So,
Good.
from a kind of an overall committee standpoint, one of the members on the committee fairly well,
Right.
Mr. Rogozensky. Do you have any opinions or advice or thoughts on what the committee could be doing to, continue spreading the information through the community? And really the focus, they're really focused on right now is making sure everybody has the correct information. So when it's time to vote, you can do it with, you can do it educated.
Well, I think the committee has done a great job bringing. I was involved in one of the focus groups. I was, I've been to one of the other sessions. I know you've had meetings up and down, but as far as times that are available to people, you're reaching out to the communities now on a local level. I think you've done a good job with that. I don't think there's anything there more that you could do any more than you have. I think one thing is, and it's something that is looking at the financial aspects of it. How do we bring that message to the folks about what's that going to look like for everybody? How is it going to be paid for? Are they going to be? I know some people had asked for options to pay. They wanted to pay over a couple of years rather than the extended time over the loan. Some places do that. I know one place that we're familiar with, people were able to do that, and then they had to borrow less money because they were guaranteed. They had so many people guaranteed that they would pay up to a certain point, and then they took the rest of the time or the rest of the money that was needed and took out a loan, and the rest of the folks paid on a monthly basis. But that's everybody does it a little bit differently. And the size of our community, we have a lot of doors.
We do.
Compared to a lot of places. So,
we do.
Again, you're not going to satisfy everybody's wishes, I'm sure.
Right. Well, the project brochure is going to be coming out soon here, a couple weeks, and we'll have some pretty concrete information that summarizes the project, and you'll see all the financial options and the budget for the project. So I hope that'll really help the community. And we will have an option, if you don't want to pay over the 10 years, there will be an option, a separate option for residents to do it. We're looking like it's a one-time payment, but you save on the interest. So that's most of the requests that we've seen thus far is having an option like that. We're able to offer that. So, and you're right, the number of residents that choose to do that, our loan becomes smaller. So hopefully that clears some things up. So.
Okay.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention on the project, or any other thoughts you had?
We're just excited. Do it tomorrow.
A lot of people are excited. A lot of people are still kind of wondering about it. I mean, it's the community has done $11 million in capital projects over the last I guess 8 or 9 years now with the wellness center and tennis and the golf course. So this is really the last big item on the board strategic plan. So
kitchen's important.
Kitchen is really important.
Very important.
Really important.
If you want all this other stuff to work, you have to have the kitchen.
Yeah. And I keep telling people, Chef Jay has done such a great job for us. Imagine what he could do if he had, some improved facilities. So, but Mr. Derry, I really appreciate the time today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
it's my pleasure. I love doing these, love sitting with residents. So, really appreciative of you. Countryside, if you have questions, comments, you know how to get a hold of myself or the committee members. You can email the committee directly, masterplan@csgcc.net. And keep the comments coming, keep the feedback. And again, thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you around the club real soon. Thank you.